All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Mira Raven, and we are here for the very first Magifest interviews. And I am here with Ivory Leonard the fourth. I had to think about that for a second. I was like, oh my gosh, Roman numerals. I love it though. This
Yeah,
guy's
so
making me think. How you doing, Ivory?
doing pretty well, pretty well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. So we're gonna play my little intro here. And then I think we're just gonna pop it off and get started. So, without further ado, the Magifest interviews intro. Hey everyone, here's Mia Raven, and this is the very first episode of Magifest interviews. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have Ivory Leonard the fourth, the creative director and author of the Samcopa 1619 series. I am just I'm so amazed with the amount of artistry that's in this individual. Honestly, I was just telling him before we even started that I'm like, I don't know, how do you want me to describe you, because you do so many things and you're so talented, and I don't even know where to begin, quite frankly. But maybe you can help me. So, um so please, for people who don't know you, because there will be people who watch this who, they're hearing you for the first time. Um, what kind of you've grown up in Chicago your whole life, right?
I grew up in Ocala, Florida, by way of Pensacola.
Oh,
Yeah, it'll be 4 years in Chicago this summer.
wow. So you've been in Chicago for a while. So what was it? What was your sort of, what was your impression kind of coming out here and living here compared to where you grew up?
Oh, it was when I grew up. I grew up in Pensacola. It's a small city,
Hmm.
and I went to school in Tallahassee, Florida, Florida A&M University, and then I moved to Philadelphia. And those are completely different environments, and the culture is different as well. And I lived in Philadelphia, danced with a dance company there. I taught, and I toured here to Chicago puppeteering. So I was a dinosaur. So, and I toured. I was on tour and I traveled to Chicago, and I've been here for 4 years. But each city presented its own opportunities, and each city also brought out things within myself that I was unaware of. And yeah, I think being in Chicago has been a great opportunity to expand my artistic endeavors and grow
Mm,
and find myself. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, that's really awesome. That's really great. Like, what are some of the things that you feel like you've kind of, because I can, relate, because I didn't grow up in Chicago, but I feel
Hmm.
like this is you have your little like levels. I feel like it's almost like
Yeah.
place you go to is like a level, and it kind of, I see it the way you see it, where you learn something, you get something from each place that you go to. And that sounds like what you're kind of, is that kind of what you were saying? Like each place that you've been in your life, you kind of, you know, have some kind of you gain some insight or perspective, or
Yeah.
learn a lesson.
Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, it was very communal. In college, even back at home, it's very communal. But being in the Midwest, um, it was an opportunity for me to not only grow as an artist, but figure out how to be a businessman
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
dig into that masculine, strategic, analytical side of who I am. When I was in those different cities, the other cities, it was an opportunity for me to um, find enriching relationships. And the companies that I also worked with, they were very like, because I was dancing with the dance company for 2 years, and it taught me so much about what I had no idea I was capable of doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because of that, I was able to get into the theater community within Chicago. Yeah. And use that business oriented side of myself. It was
Yeah.
cool. It was cool.
That's really great. I think that, that's the one thing I really like about Chicago myself is there's just a such a strong community of like artists out here and like creatives, and there's a lot of people. um I was talking actually with someone this morning about where I grew up, and I grew up, of course, in I grew up on the East Coast in Maine,
Yeah.
and they asked me like what the crime was like there, and I was like, not really, nothing crazy, really nothing like out here. And they're like, well, why would you leave, where you were to come here? And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, well, the people, the adventure,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
like the fact that there's just people from all over the world. And I kind of thought about that later today, is that there's just such a community, and it's just a very creative city. And so, I mean, there's a lot. And I almost think that, I mean, there's also a lot of tragedy here. There's a lot of other things here, layers of different things, wherever you go. But I think that that provides a lot of inspiration, for people. And maybe that's why there's a lot of creative people, is because there's a lot of inspiration, just kind of moving around.
Yeah. Yeah. That's everywhere. Everywhere. It's balance. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everything has its opposite. Yeah.
absolutely. So yeah, so tell me more about sort of, I want to kind of go to what brought you to reading. Is this your first book, or have you written books before?
This is my first.
Very first book. Wow,
Yeah. Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So what brought you to that decision? Cuz you have, kind of give people a little bit of your background. So you, before you were an author, you said you did some the puppeteering,
Hmm.
and I think you've done some things with musical theater in
Yeah.
that realm. And what kind of brought you to writing a book? What inspired it?
I always wanted to write a book. When I was in college, I wrote down a list of things that I wanted to manifest.
Hmm.
And I was like, within 5 years, I'm going to write a book, as well as a few other things. And I didn't know exactly when it was going to happen, but I knew that I was intentional about writing it. It was
Yeah.
like just going with the flow of the universe and just allowing that to happen. So I had to have personal experiences in order to tell an authentic story.
Yeah.
And then I also had to be aware of what kind of story I want to tell.
Mhm.
What research, what information is going to fortify the vision and idea that I had prior to. And it took some years to figure that out. But it wasn't until I actually experienced what it was that allowed me to create the work, which is now published.
Wow. And so there was it seems like there was such a, I'm sure there was a journey, right?
Oh
There
yeah.
was, the
Oh yeah.
struggle and the strife and the happiness and you know, and so, what keeps you going through, what do you think allows you to be able to push through that process? Because I mean, what I'm hearing is that you're magifesting. You
Mhm.
magifested this book.
Yeah.
You had this vision and you had this idea, and just you moved through it and you got through it, and now you have this beautiful magical book. And so what do you think um helped allow you to really get through, the ups and downs? Because let's be honest, especially creatives and artists, we know that this is not, art is not a easy road. Being
Mhm.
vulnerable and putting
Mhm.
yourself out there is not an it's not an easy road,
No, not at
so
all. Yeah. Well, oh, for sure. On the journey and this experience, it has been my family for sure. The communities that I'm involved with. I also look at the state of the world
yeah.
and what I feel the world needs. And these things just come to me, and I just allow it to just happen the way that it does. And I respond to it. When I get that, it's also integrated within the book. It's like a reaction, like a reaction to a stimuli. When you see something that you can nurture, in a sense,
Mhm.
I feel like it's my obligation to do that.
Hmm. Like, is it calling to you kind of thing? Is it something where it's like
Yes.
it's like, "Hey," you know, something is how to sort of, come hithering you? I feel
Yeah.
like I've had
Yeah.
those experiences where you have, something that will come into my life and
Yeah.
sort of just be there and sort of just be like glowing almost.
Yeah.
Not literally, but just it's a it that's what the best way to describe it is, that it's like glowing, because it's anything that's glowing, you're kind of like, "Ooh, what what is that?" You want to go see, you want to go into it and explore it, right? And
Hmm.
that's how at least I feel. My experience is, I think I can relate to what you're saying, and I think I've had experiences like that before as a creative, where
Yeah.
certain things will just, come at you in a very mm, provocative way. Just makes you want to kind of be involved in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
As Michael Jackson said, the force has got a lot of power. It
Yeah.
makes you feel like you got whoo, and you just make it. You just make it happen. Of course, it takes
Right.
strategy. It takes planning. It takes
Mhm.
time. It takes energy. It takes your heart and passion.
Mm.
But that's what it has to get done. As I think, not even I think, I know that it's a part of my purpose of why I'm here, to render service through art. And
Yeah.
this book is literally an extension of that.
Yeah. No, I totally know. I feel like a lot of artists can relate to that, because
Yeah,
there's just that thing, even myself as an artist, I feel like there's things that I do, and I just do them because I just want to do that. I
yeah.
want to create this. I want to, make this thing, and our creativity can express itself through us in multiple different ways. And the thing that I really admire with you is that you're allowing yourself to have the openness to just like be who you are and creatively express as yourself, and not say, "Oh, well, I'm a dancer. I can't
Hmm.
do this," or "I'm an actor. I can't do that. I can't
Yeah,
sing."
yeah.
Because so many people, I feel like they do that. They limit themselves and say, "Oh, well, I'm a singer. I could never write a book." Or
Right.
I could never write a screenplay, but
Hmm.
I'm an actress or whatever. And people put themselves in boxes, and it's like, you know, just
Yeah.
limit yourself. So I admire that in you.
I love the fact that you said that because the book is basically a manifestation of that as well. I was actually thinking about this the other day about how we're multidimensional beings. We're not just um, we don't have to identify with just a job or a career, and that is also integrated within the book.
Hmm.
Because we're well beyond that, and if we limit ourselves to just those things, then we just have an experience from that, um, through that particular dimension. But
Yeah.
we're well beyond what we think we are. And I learned that through personal experience, especially when COVID happened. I was in theater, and when everything shut down, I had to figure out what was next. What do I do?
Yeah.
Just go with the flow. Just allow it to work through you and move through you and surrender to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I had a moment like that. I had a moment that was a huge meditation moment
Hmm.
where I just was I went through like a panic attack,
Yeah.
and it lasted for 3 hours, and I was up, and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
And it was the scariest thing ever. But I was like, when I came out of it, I was like, wow, you know, it just made me realize, again, how vulnerable we are as humans, and that you just really, not to say that we should be afraid, it actually made me less afraid
Hmm.
of death. It made me have more peace with the reality that we just never know where we are in that equation. But I think we kind of do. Like, I think we kind of, I don't know. I feel like there's people that I see and people I've known that have passed or things like that. And they have a certain, it's, I think that people do kind of know if, when they're, for the most part, I think they kind of have an idea somewhere back there, but everyone's on a different level of consciousness with it, where some people it's way back there and they might have some sort of essence of it,
Yeah.
whereas some people might like actually have a vision of their death before it even happens, and they know it's going to happen and
Mm.
that kind of a thing. um but I do want to kind of come out of death. I don't know why we went in that direction, but you know what? Because you know what? I'll tell you why. Because everyone's afraid of death. I'll just say that. Everyone's
Yeah.
afraid of it. And I think we need to change that mentality. And that actually goes along with what we're saying of being expansive. Because one of the things that keeps people from doing some of the things they want to do is a fear of death.
Hmm.
I mean, just think like with COVID, people are afraid to go outside. But what if what you want to do is outside? Then what
Yeah.
do you do? Do you stay inside because you're afraid, or do you go out because there's things you want to do that are outside, you know? So you have to sort of find that balance, You can't stay outside all day. You have to
Yeah.
come outside at some point. But is it like I think it's just something that, when you have that time with yourself, you kind of figure out where that balance is.
Yeah.
And yeah, so kind of want to ask you a little more now about the book and sort of a little more, I mean, a little more about what inspired the particular like the characters in the book, and maybe, are any of the characters um particular archetypes? Do they represent anything for you in terms of, either related to your own life or people in your life that had an impact on you or anything like that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. The Aklim is a manifestation of who, if I had known the things that I have known now,
Mhm.
he would be the manifestation of who I am now as a kid.
Mm.
So the whole book, the whole series, are
Oh.
basically like lessons that I would tell my younger self, my inner child.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he can be his authentic self. He's on the journey of
Mm.
self-discovery. He's embarking on his like journey of who am I beyond ego, beyond identification with the mental state. Who am I? And this is like so the first book is who can I be? So yeah, and the mother who's in the first book, she is a manifestation of Mother Nature. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah.
yeah. If you see her,
That's
she has
beautiful.
all of the answers. She's conscious and aware of who she is. And I mean, throughout the book, we actually are within his mind. And you know how we get into a place of imagining our future?
Mhm.
He literally goes into these alternate dimensions of who he could be. And because of his choices, because our choices really have an impact on our reality. Our reality is a manifestation of our internal world. So with each choice, he becomes someone different. I mean, his
Mm.
body is shaped different, his hair is different, his of course his career is different. But those are like alternate versions of who he can be. At the end, he basically decides what really matters. But yeah, this book is also historic. At the beginning of civilization of humanity from the continent of Africa, the originators it's manifested throughout the book. So it's just returning to what we already are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all
Mm.
of that is integrated within the book. I researched different societies outside of the Western Empire, outside of colonialism, outside of patriarchy, and then I also researched things after 1619, after the emancipation,
Mhm.
which is like Tulsa, Wilmington, Red Summer, even Chicago. Chicago has rich Black history that was taken away or demonized by colonialism. I mean, these were Black societies that were thriving and flourishing. But in this book is pretty much just what we already are. It's just remembering and seeing these hieroglyphs and iconography and different proverbs, African proverbs that we already know. We're just remembering.
I think that's really important. I think that we need to have sort of like I like it because it's almost like a form of intervention that we need, like we in terms of, like black people, we need that intervention of who are we?
Yeah,
What's our lineage? What's our history?
yeah,
Our
yeah.
ancestors, where did we come from?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's African American culture and then there's African culture and then there's everything in between all of that and then all the different variants within the African diaspora. And so I think that it's important that we understand just how vast, especially as African Americans, just how vast that diaspora
Yeah.
is. What are some of the you said you looked into other, like societies and different, can you just kind of maybe talk about and share um some of the things that you found, some of the things you learned in your research that stuff, maybe something that maybe surprised you or something that was really interesting that you learned through this process, and
Oh
maybe
yeah.
share a little bit on that.
Oh yeah. Well, one, I was been watching the Universe and Cosmos on Netflix and also Disney Plus. So
Mhm.
just watching those different programs, and they talked about civilizations and history and the universe and how the universe is like 14 billion years old, and humans have been here for about 300,000 years. So if you look on the calendar, each year within the each month within the calendar is about 1 billion years.
Yeah.
And if you get to the last month, which is December, humans would have been here on the 31st of December. So if you think about it on a much larger
Oh,
scale, we think we're much more important than what we really are. So that in itself, in how we came into how we were given breath, and then how we became conscious and had these different societies, and how life began on the continent of Africa, and then others like went to different parts of the world, like Neanderthals, and um, how important that is. Like even at Timbuktu, everybody went to Timbuktu to get an understanding of what civilization is. Like these were brutes, and this is I learned this at the DeSable Museum. And I talked to a representative from there, and he was like, these were brutes who came to Timbuktu on the continent and learned about what it means to be civilized. And it's so interesting when it comes to the continent of America and the so-called free world. They saw us as brutes. But now I was also reading Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and he was talking about how the white man came over and he was just looking to take, looking to um, be in power. But it was like, what are you looking for when everything you need is already there? It's coexistence. There were different societies that were already flourishing and doing the things that they did. But in the Western world, and patriarchy is always about war and division and ego, power. But that's not what we naturally are. So like coming across all of that information with the beginning of time before, even with how the moon and the sun, they the moon keeps the earth on its axis. That's why we have seasons. And the sun keeps all of those like the gravitational pull together so that basically if the sun was close to the earth would be lead. And if the earth was further away, the earth would be if the sun was further away, the earth would be ice. So it's like we exist at this moment in time for a particular reason. To exist, to be free. And what we are that is moving through us is asking and like looking for liberation.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that one thing that I've really been focusing on a lot is balance,
Yeah.
balance between the masculine and the feminine. And I think that they're both necessary. I think that you need to have, within ourselves, we need to have that balance of masculine and feminine, but then also, within our relationships, we have to have like a sense of, give and take, a sense of push and pull, a sense of, and it's just, and in life and in everything, politics, and we need to have a more balanced approach,
Mm.
um, in order to, go through like true evolution. I think we're not going to get very far if we're, you know, super imbalanced on one side, like heavily masculine, with no rest, and I also think that this idea of feminine and masculine um is also seen in it's also seen in sort of the seasons. Like there are seasons that are more feminine. There are seasons that are more masculine. And when I say that, I really just mean the qualities, right? Like I'm not saying like this isn't a gender thing, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about like archetypes and abstract ideas. And like for instance, in Eastern culture, right? They're always talking about yin and yang, and balancing those energies. And so I think that um there are times to be really action oriented. That's important. We need that. Power
Yeah.
is okay. But at the same time, you can't have too much of anything. You shouldn't have too much power. Just like you said, if we're too close to the sun, it'll be too much. If we're too close to the moon, it'll be too much. But when we're right there in the middle and we've got just the right amount of each thing,
Yeah.
then we have the perfect environment for
Hmm.
life,
Yeah.
for growth,
Yeah.
for beauty, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is what Earth is. It's beauty. I mean,
Hmm.
and I think that a lot of times people forget that what we live in on
Yeah.
is magic.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
It,
created from that, not just around us, but that which created the earth, that which created the solar system, that which created all the other things that are out there. But we're so focused on what's happening in front of us and we don't even know like what we actually have access to. And we have access to so much. It's so beautiful that you mentioned masculine and feminine, because even anatomically, when we think about the mind, the right mind is in connection to masculine energy, and the left mind is connected to feminine energy. When we integrate the two, when we integrate the right and left mind and use those things accordingly, life becomes better. Like even with the chakra system, the seven chakras, from the root all the way out the crown, which is also included within the book. Once we become aware of it,
what? Oh my
yeah, yeah,
God. Wait, hold up.
yeah,
You said that the chakra system is
yeah,
included in this book.
yeah,
Is it like the little boy and like he's like, his chakra is like showing where his all his chakras and
yeah, yeah. And there's a treasure hunt within the book too. So in the treasure hunt, you get information about where the root chakra is located, what it means, and then you go throughout the book and just see where these things are.
oh
It,
wow. This is
numerology is
amazing.
included.
This is great.
Yeah,
This is really see this is I love this because this is what children need, you know. Children need to be connected to the spiritual. You know, you see so many books
yeah,
and they're focused on, categorizing. This is a yellow duck. You know, ducks are yellow. You know, like when we think about like children's books, they're
mhm,
so important. They're so important. You know, we just kind of people just, make children's books sometimes and it's kind of just like they're just I don't want to say re-traumatizing, too harsh of a word, but in a sense, sometimes it is re-traumatizing. But I mean, there's certain, I'm sure you know about all of the terrible racist children's nursery rhymes,
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
So there's an example right there
yeah,
of, like basically, indoctrinating these children with racism from the very beginning. They threw these seemingly innocent, nursery rhymes or, shows or songs or, different things like that. So I think that what we what we give our children, what we teach them is very important. And I think that that is like what you're doing, like your book I feel like should get some kind of award or something because those are the types of books that we need. We need to have books that bring up those things with children,
yeah,
allow them to know how where, so that they can really take control of their power.
yeah, yeah. That is rightfully, that's our birthright. It's our birthright to know who and what we are. And because, I mean, from 1619 all the way up to 1865 with the Emancipation and how we weren't even considered human. That's years of being not only in bondage but like epigenetics. This is affecting us genetically.
Yeah.
With the father not being in the household, taken away through slavery, breakage of the family, loss of our tongue, what we naturally are, and like we're now in a place where, I mean, the structures have evolved, but
Yeah.
Now, because of our ancestors, we're in a place where we can reclaim what's ours.
And that's like such a beautiful place. And I think that, we really need to, like, Black people really need to, like, just realize how lucky we are right now. Like, we're so, and when I say lucky, I just mean pretty much what you're just saying. We
Mm-hmm.
have we've gotten to a point where we can make it happen. We have what we need to make this world beautiful.
Yeah.
We have everything we need to
Oh
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Whereas before there were times where we were literally, if we wanted to do something, we were going to get beaten, or something was going to happen, or but we don't have that now. This is a moment, especially right now, because there's definitely, with all this stuff going on, there's a lot of, there's still going to be people that want to shut you down, because that just happens, just really, on some levels, for everybody. There's going to be people that don't like you or whatever. There's going to be people that don't want to support what you're doing, and
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But then there's going to be, so for all the people that aren't doing that, there's going to be so many more people who want to be connected to it, who want to support it, all of that. So I just think that, you know, um I think that we're just really lucky right now to be in a moment where we have all of these resources. And when we start to work together and unite, and really kind of hone in on, and like you said, like, not limit ourselves. I think there's so many people who have this idea. I think, that's why I feel like we need to have a revolution uh in media, because we
Mm-hmm.
need, and books is kind of it's pretty much an extension of that. Like, it's a form of media, right?
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
and so we need that, though. We need, like, because all of the media is like our brainwashing. It, like, teaches us. I'm trying to think of the theory from back in Psychology of Racism. There was a theory, social identity theory, I think,
Okay.
which explains how we come to understand who we are, right? So, oh, I see, token Black girl number 6 on TV.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, she's Black, I'm Black. Okay, so I associate with this character. And it's something we do subconsciously. Like, we're not thinking about it and going, but it's just something that we do. And then when we see that, we kind of, what it does is it sort of makes us act that way. Like, do you ever see people who kind of, it's like you swear they were on, like, a movie or something, because they act like a character?
Yeah. It's how
Like, they
they've
act
been
like a
conditioned.
character, right? That's
And
because that's the social identity, like, them taking on that person, being like, and they're not necessarily doing it on purpose. They're not thinking about it. It's just happening because that's kind of what TV and movies do. So I'm very careful about what I consume, and what I put in. And I think, how this connects with, with your book, is that it goes back to, again, what are we feeding our children? What are we feeding ourselves? What are we consuming? And what messages?
hmm
Sure, we're all going to get programmed in a way, right? In a
Oh,
sense.
for
Right?
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You can't escape being programmed. Like, if you're not programmed, you're blank. You're nothing. Like, there's nothing there, right? You have no system. We
Yeah.
all have some kind of program, right? So instead of trying to fight the fact that you're going to be programmed, make the program that you want.
hmm
Create your own programs,
Yeah.
make your own, write your own code of your life, and figure, and I think that that's what this is about. That's the direction that this book goes. It goes in a direction of allowing the reader to be freed, of not
Yeah.
having to tie down to be a particular thing, or, because you see so many of those children's books, which ones I'm talking about. And they're like, oh, I want to be a doctor. I'm da 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 da. Like those books that just, like, are very specific, and they give
hmm
you, like, Like Susie wanted to be a doctor, and Jimmy
Yeah.
wanted to be a fireman, and Jill wanted to be an accountant. It was just these very, which those jobs are fine. Like, we need those jobs. That's not a bad thing. But I think that, like you said, I think just keeping it open, because who knows? Some of these kids, if we allow them the freedom, I feel like they could create their own new job. You know what I mean? Like, they
Oh
could
yeah.
they could create things that we could never think of, because we're so stuck in this box.
Right.
They Right? They have the ability to see what we can't see,
Yep.
because we're programmed a certain way.
Yep.
So I love that. That's what I love about it. Okay, so what else we talk about? Um, so what are kind of go into um what are some of the lessons that the character kind of learns? What are his conflicts? What does he, and is this a book that's going to be, because I think I read somewhere, series, right? So will
Yeah.
there be multiple books?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. The yeah, I already wrote them. This is some things just take time, like especially with this book. This is my
Hmm.
first time publishing a book, and there's so many intricate parts to this algorithm that I am new to. So I'm figuring those things out, and
Hmm.
once I'm settled and it's doing working on its own, that's when I'll move on to the next. But yeah, each book is it involves the chakra system, and it goes throughout. Um, and then I won't talk too much about what's after the uh, the seventh, but yeah, it's the beginning of a hero's journey.
So you've got a whole, like, trajectory. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
when does the next book come out? I'm not rushing it or anything. I'm just curious.
I'm projecting. I say beginning of next year. I said beginning of
Mm.
next year. I could work on it earlier,
Yeah.
but I wanna start it off right. And this is the beginning, and this is the root chakra. And the root chakra is the base. And the base has to be strong and nurtured and nourished. Yeah, it needs the attention. And I'm giving it the attention that it needs so that it can function the way that it needs to function in a healthy way. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wanted to know, so I looked at the video that you sent me,
Mhm.
and I actually want to take a moment to show this video. I had a couple questions about it. I'm going to show it, and then I'm going to
Okay.
ask the questions. So this is the video. Is it okay if I show this video, by the way?
Yeah, sure. This is
It's the
fine.
video you sent me.
Okay.
Okay, of your promo. So here's his promo video, you guys.
The initial book of the Sankofa 1619 children's book series, Who Can I Be, is a story about a 7-year-old boy named Akleen who embarks on a journey of self-discovery. Unsure about his path, he sees himself and altered realities of who he can be. With the help of his mom, he realizes what is most important. In an Afro-futuristic world, this book allows the reader to expand their imagination, explore many careers, and engage in a reality with fun activities. This is the beginning of a hero's journey.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love the music too. The music is
Yeah.
awesome. Where
Yeah.
did you find the music?
It's from the djembe drum. Yeah.
Oh, did you
So
play? Is that you
did
playing?
I play? No, that's not me playing. I found it online.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like, "And you play drum? Wow."
Yeah,
Okay.
it's always a language. I use everything with The language, yeah. So
Yeah, that's
rhythms.
totally. So one thing I noticed is, so were there how many what was the process for the illustration like? What was that? Because it looked almost like the way you guys had it, it kind of reminded me of like animation, and
Yeah,
I was wondering like how did you find the illustrators? Did you know them already?
yeah.
What was the process like?
Saeed Briscoe, shout out to him. He is a really good friend, great human, just a wonderful person, so imaginative. And if you see his work, you're gonna be like, his work is not this time. His work
Mhm.
is beyond this time. He's tapped in, and he doesn't stop. I love it, and I enjoy him as a being. But he's a friend. He's a friend. I knew him from Philadelphia, and we stayed in touch, stayed connected. Because you meet people at the right time for a particular reason.
Mhm.
And he was one of those people like, this book would not be the book that it is without him. It's cool to write it, but the fact that I didn't have to talk about so much about the history and the culture and our heritage, we complemented each other so well. And it manifested throughout the book. And it's so cool. It's so cool. Like, not only did, we grow as artists, but we grew as individuals, as friends. And I'm really honored to be able to partner with him to create this work.
Yeah. That's really cool. Like I
Yeah.
love that. I love when you and I feel that way too. And I'm sure that any artists or creatives that are watching this probably have had this experience where you just find these people that you just kind of sometimes and sometimes you don't. But a lot of times I've gotten to a point where I kind of just know. I'm kind of like, oh yeah, I think I'm supposed to talk to you. Like you just get that feeling. Like I'm trying to remember how I met you. I don't
Yeah.
even remember.
We're
I'm trying
connected.
to
It
we connected. I feel
doesn't
like
matter.
that's the thing. I'm like I don't even that because I've met so many people and it's
Yeah.
been something where it's like and there's been people that I've met just under very ordinary, mundane circumstances, had no idea that they were going to be this person down the line
Yeah.
that I do this or that with. And I
Yeah.
think that's pretty common. Like you'll meet the person, maybe you'll have, and maybe they'll be acquaintance, maybe they'll be, whatever. And then maybe you start talking to them a little more and you really connect with them. And then on a creative level, you just end up kind of, you know, it's like you're like they're like soul. I like to think of those people as like soul family
Hmm.
because they have like you connect with them on like a soul vibe, like a soulmate,
Hmm.
but they're also kind of and so like you kind of feel like it's easy to communicate creatively with those kinds with people who are your soul family,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like being with your family. Like you can joke around with them. You can where they're at. You don't have to,
Yeah.
with your family, you know what to expect.
Hmm.
And so you kind of just like with family, it's like, oh, I'm good. Um so I think that a lot of people can definitely relate to that experience. Now, have you ever thought of making it an animated series? It's
I'm
way down
already.
the line.
Yeah, I already know the right people to work with for it. So
That's awesome. I think you
definitely.
should. I
Yeah.
think you definitely should because when I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this
Yeah.
should, it made me think of like animation.
Yeah.
I just thought of animation. So I think it would be, at some point, I think it'd be super cool to see this as like an animated show. That
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
that would be
This
amazing.
work. This work will be seen. It will be seen. I have no. I will not deny what is already been given birth to. Yeah,
Yeah.
the seed has been planted, and I'm excited to just continue nurturing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. As you should. And as should all of us,
Hmm.
people that the people that can benefit from it. I already bought my copy, sent it to my niece.
Thank you.
She'll love it. I know she's going to love it because she loves books, and I always
Yeah.
send her books. Um and yeah, so I did put the information for Ivory's website, for his book's website. You can actually, where can people buy your book?
It's currently on Amazon, and I'm in the works of getting it into different bookstores, and so you most likely will see it at a store near you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Are they do you have, is it it's paperback and ebook?
Paperback, ebook, and the hardback was just like went through today. So like
Oh,
today.
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
Really cool.
That's exciting. So how
Yeah.
does it feel? How does it feel to be like how does it feel now that you've released it? Cuz you released it just this past Monday.
Yeah.
So so how do you feel? How's it been? How's the experience been?
One, it feels like woo, like great, and then I'm also like, wait, is this really happening right now? Because this is huge. This is huge. I'm just going with it. I'm just going with what is just allowing it to move, to work through me, and with my body, my mind, and soul, like the integration of all of that. Boom, like integrating masculine and feminine, doing the work when I need to, getting the rest when I need to.
You're just in
Yeah.
that perfect place of manifestation,
Yeah.
of manifestation. You're in
Yeah.
that perfect place. You really are, though. It's
Yeah.
because when you have that, once you get it down and and I know that feeling, because I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like I think I know that feeling, at least because I feel that way now. There have been times in my life where I was working hard, doing a lot of stuff, but I was really tired, and I would get
Yeah.
sick or something because I was tired. Now, though, I still work really hard. That hasn't changed. But
Yeah.
but I'm more balanced about it.
Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
will take,
Yeah.
if I need to take a couple minutes and I need to eat, I'm going to stop what I need. I'm stopping what I'm doing and I'm going to
Hmm.
go eat. If
Hmm.
I need to go to bed at 11 o'clock to get up at the right time, I'm going to do that. I'm not going to
Yeah.
like, there's certain, like, it's like making those sort of boundaries with yourself in terms
Yeah. You do.
of, okay, even though, or saying, okay, sure, I'm going to stay up and finish this, but
Hmm.
tomorrow I'm going to sleep in.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that I, take extra vitamins or take extra supplements or do, eat more kale or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whatever it is, just something to balance out and counteract. If you are really, really hard on yourself, give yourself a little bit of comfort. If you need
Hmm.
a little extra, like sometimes I just need to put on the aromatherapy, and
Hmm.
sometimes I need a cushion under my chair just to make it a little bit comfy. But once I do that, I'm 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 ready. Like, and then I'm ready to go. But just those little things sometimes can make a huge difference. And then before you know it, you're just like, you got all this stuff, lined up and done, and like you just have this nice flow. Like it's almost like an assembly line of life, in a sense where it's like things are just flowing. Like you put this away, do you ever have days like that where it's just like things are just like flowing, like with a rhythm, like you feel like
Yeah.
you're moving to life in like this very rhythmic way that's very metric, like
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun experience.
Yeah. It is amazing, and I've gotten a lot of that during COVID, during this pandemic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I intentionally created morning and evening rituals so that I can transition into each day with the flow, grounding myself and being present with where I'm at and setting those boundaries. Because when I step outside of those boundaries, I step out of alignment. But the beautiful thing is, I know how to get back to it. I can
Yeah.
always return home. Always return home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the beauty I think about just understanding just what you just said,
Yeah.
because it seems so simple, right? You know you can always click your ruby slippers. You can always click your ruby slippers 3 times and go back home. You can
Yeah.
always
Mhm.
that I was thinking about that as I was saying it. But you can always go back, right? But I
Yeah.
think sometimes what happens is I think at least based on my experiences, there's been times before I was aware as I am now,
Hmm.
where I don't think I knew that it was almost like I didn't want to make a mistake. And I didn't know that, oh, it's okay. You've always got this. You've always got your breath. Like
Yeah.
it's something so simple, but once you learn that sort of process of calming yourself and relaxing yourself, you can always access that. And when I had that panic attack, in fact, that I was mentioning before,
Hmm.
where I was like so convinced that this was it, I was like, something was going on. And I was like, what is going on? But the whole time, I just, I put in some rose essential oil, and
Yeah.
I sat in my room and I burned some sage, and I sat and just stretched, and I just sat and kept breathing, and just kept feeling my body, and just kind of just really started focusing on grounding myself down, and
Hmm.
just being like, no, it's okay. You're
Yeah.
okay. It's all right. Like sometimes you have to just give yourself that self, no, I don't want to say comfort,
Hmm.
it's like you have to kind of give yourself a hug sometimes. And I think
Yeah.
that some people know how to do that already and some people don't. And I think when you don't, it can feel like you're like, if you mess up, if you slip, you're on a tightrope, right?
Hmm.
And then you're lost and you're in some kind of tumbling, downward spiral, But if you are aware of, wait, I've got a whole safety net. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm here for me, right?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people, it's so simple, but I think sometimes people forget to do that for themselves. And
Yeah.
so then when they don't have somebody or someone, they are lonely or they are sad or they feel like they need to fill their life with stuff or with attachments.
Yeah.
But when you really truly love yourself, you can pretty much, not to say you can be alone all the time because we all need to be around people and socializing, but I think you won't be afraid to be alone.
Yeah.
Sense,
Yeah. You
you know?
enjoy your presence, yourself
Right.
in that solitude. That's
Yeah.
one thing that I love about the pandemic is that I had an opportunity to be with myself and harness my own energy,
Hmm.
understand who I am. Because I mean, we all have been impacted in so many different ways, and our root chakra has been, you know, out of place. You know,
Hmm.
but when understanding who you are and what moves through you, you're always safe to rest into
Yeah.
that root chakra. Who can I be?
Yeah. Who
Yeah.
can I be? Who can I not be?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that's like, who can I not be? I can be anything. And that sounds so cliche. I can be
Uh-huh.
anything. But I mean, really though, I think we need to start believing that again because that's how you figure it out. Like, sure, maybe we don't have, for instance, there's a lot of people who say, oh, well, the world is doomed, the world's ending. And, no, we could never have, this or this would never happen or we've never done. Well, I mean, why can't it? If we want to do something, we can do it. We have to just decide that we want to do it and we have to have, just get the people together.
Yeah.
And and it's just a matter of that, and just there are some things that I think keep people from being together. And so I think that for a short period of time, I think this experience of COVID, which was, for, I think, of, they, there's certain reasons why it happened, but it's also just, it's divine in the sense that there were people that designed it not in a divine way. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
But the divine is the controller, the creator, ultimately.
Yeah.
So what the just gonna say some arrogant humans, created, ended up being ended up working against them. The tables have turned, and people
Yeah.
are getting better, right? They really did this because they wanted people to get very depressed and scared and fear, and they preparing for the great reset and making everybody, commit to this sort of weird super digital life. And they don't want people to see people's faces, and they want people to be really like afraid of each other and all this stuff. And that is arrogant humans being arrogant humans saying, "Oh, we know everything because we have science." Wow. No,
It's,
sorry. We didn't create the world. Science didn't create the world.
nah,
The
modern
creator did.
modern science is still catching up to ancient civilizations.
Right. That's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
it's
It's that, and Mother Nature. Okay, this is the thing that I also think is really important. Is I think it's hilarious. There's no better medicine than what's in Mother Nature's cupboard.
hmm
I This is what this is my experience personally. You know, the only thing that allowed me to heal and gave me this vibrant, glowing face is Mother Nature. I
yeah.
mean, straight up, Mother Nature. I don't take anything synthetic.
Uh-huh. Yeah. This whole summer, I spent so much time out in nature at the park doing yoga, meditation, tai chi, breath work. And when I say that was the most healing experience I've ever gotten before, nature is the answer. We are nature. We are an extension of nature. When we leave this physical body, our bodies recycle back to the earth. So it's like, why not be with what you are? So it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. Well, I definitely think that, like I said, I think that this is seriously just the beginning of something that's going to be so expansive and so, you know, so needed. Like we
Yeah.
need, like I said, we need a lot of, there's a lot of, I've seen a lot of really great books for little black girls.
hmm
I don't know, I haven't really looked that much at books for little black boys because all of my nieces are girls. So I've been looking at little black, books for little black girls about, how they're beautiful and, all
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. Um, and so, but I really feel like we need a lot of that because, with black feminism, there's obviously a lot of focus on women, and I think that's important. But I also think that one step further with black feminism is to take care of the men, because
Mm.
when I say that, I mean like their feelings and allowing them to feel and allowing them to be like full creatures, not just like, oh, you're just a pair of muscles, or you're just you're just however much you make or whatever, like allowing them to be full, you know feeling, thinking beings, like not just like, because I think sometimes we look at men from the feminist perspective and go, oh, the men are blah blah blah, and we make generalizations. And I think humans do that in general, right?
Yeah.
About each other. But I think that with feminism, sometimes some of it, I think we talk about, we need to focus on women, need to focus on women, but I also think that we do need to like see that, men need something too. We need to be teaching our our men, we need to be teaching our boys, and we need to allow them to, again, to feel, to express, to
Yeah.
to be on that higher level emotionally, and still be fit, still, not to say that our boys are not going to be strong, right? Women are strong too. We both are
Oh, that's
strong,
good.
and we both
Yeah.
are vulnerable. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Do
you
that
know
for each other. Like energetically, we're all like beyond like gender. Energetically, we all are reflections of each other.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but I think that that's the thing, is that we get stuck in these labels,
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
who and what we are. And so I think that that's one of the really amazing things about this book, is just how expansive it is, how meditative it is, how inspiring it is. So if you have a little black child, or if you know somebody who has a little black child, or if you have a black niece, a grandmother, a friend's daughter or son, you need to buy them this book right now. You need to buy them this book. You can go on Amazon, and if you search for the name, and that's Sam Kofa. I'll put both of these. I'll
Okay.
put this banner here. But if you search the name of the book on Amazon, it's called "Who Can I Be?" Right, on
Yes.
Amazon. Who
Who
can
can I
I
be?
be?
Question.
So let me put that in there. And people can go and visit Amazon, and that's so amazing, and it's so convenient. Like that was a good choice. Do you get paid well from that though? Do you have to like take does it take like money out of your payment, or do you get all the money from it?
Well, eventually, I will not be publishing on Amazon. Yeah, because they do take a
Oh,
certain percentage.
yeah.
Yeah. So for
Where will
those,
you be after that, in case people want to buy it then?
I get to that when I get to it. I've been looking at Book Baby. Book Baby is a good publishing source.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I'm looking at that, doing some research. Ingram is a good place as well. Um, but there's so many options out there. When I first began, Amazon was the first thing that I came across. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's understandable. That's kind of like when I released some singles earlier this year, and I released them on whatever platform, Spotify and, you know, iTunes and all those platforms. But whenever people asked me, I kind of just said, "Hey, just go to my website, because because if they go to those other websites, I'm only going to get like that much.
yeah,
So I tried to sort of get people to just buy it straight, just through my website. So yeah, I mean, it may even be helpful to just have it on your website too, and have like a PayPal or something.
yeah. It's
Um,
definitely working on it. It's already up on my website.
oh,
Yeah,
well, there
yeah.
you go. So people can go to your website if they want to buy it as
Oh, for
well.
sure. Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
On like the second page.
perfect.
Yeah, it's there. It's who can I be with the a question mark.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's
Let
okay.
me just make sure I change it. I'm sorry. Who can I be?
Hmm. Yeah, but I will say thank you for the platform, the opportunity, this conversation. This was very stimulating, and yeah,
Well,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you for being here, Ivory. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it. This is the kickoff to this series, and I think that you really you really kicked it off. I feel like this was such a great woohoo. I feel like this was just such a needed conversation, and I think that especially with all the stuff that's going on right now, I feel like it was very meditative and very grounding, and just kind of
yeah,
reminds us now, when we go away from this conversation, we can just remember that we are expansive.
Oh yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
that we need to take those moments, those small moments, to sort of connect with our inner
Mm-hmm.
goddess and God.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to push forward and connect with that energy. Like there's like a higher energy whenever you're feeling tired. you know just ask yourself, like, what do I need right now? What does my body need
Yeah.
to to kind of level up into my existence, into who I'm meant to be and what I'm meant to do, versus kind of just going through, monotonously through life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just want to say again, thank you very much, Ivory, for coming on the Magifest interview series. Please check Ivory out. He's amazing. Please look out. Please look up his book. Please buy it for your children. And also, just to kind of give you guys a heads up about the future, this is not the first one I'll be doing many Magifest interview shows after this one. And this is something that I'll be doing every month. So each month I'll be having different guests on and talking with them about their projects or about what they're manifesting. And if you would ever like to be on the show, if you're watching this and you would like to be interviewed on the show, just reach out to me. You can reach out to me on my website, www.magifest.space. And I will be I'll be posting this replay on my website, as well as on both my Facebook and YouTube pages. So thank you guys for watching. And I have a little outro video I'm gonna play. But again, please check out Ivory. Please buy his book, Who Can I Be? He's awesome. And we will see you guys next time. Keep manifesting, everyone. Bye.